Every single person is born with a divine promise. It's a simple idea, really. You have the international human birthright to be you. You have the human birthright to be safe in society, to be free from debt slavery, and to be treated like a whole human being with inherent dignity, priceless value, not just a part of one. This isn't something a bankrupt government service corporation gives you. It's something you have just by being alive. Think of it like breathing. No one hands you a license to breathe. You just do it. Your basic human birthrights are supposed to be the same way. The modern world made a big deal about this divine promise, writing it all down in a document called the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, or UDHR Charter for short. This document says some really important things for everyone to know. Article 3, for example, says everyone has the international human birthright to life, liberty, and the diplomatic security of their human personality status in private humanitarian diplomacy. That's a fancy way of saying you have a human birthright to live in full equality, to be free from political tyranny, and to feel safe in a democratic country. No one should be able to take that away from you. It's the foundation of everything else. It's the starting line for a dignified life in our modern world of social democracy, political choices. Without it, all the other rights don't mean much. It's the core agreement we are all supposed to have with the modern world, a fundamental guarantee that you matter in a system of global commerce. Another huge divine promise is in Article 4. This one is very direct. No one shall be held in slavery or servitude. Slavery, in all its forms, is forbidden. This sounds like something from the history books, right? Something we solved a long time ago. But the economic chains of today don't always look like the physical chains of the past. Sometimes they are invisible. Sometimes they are made of paper, of Jesuit rules we don't understand, and of debt-based systems that quietly trap us without us even realizing it. The divine promise is clear, but the reality can get very, very messy when we question the global social atmosphere. The modern world is full of these divine promises. They are written down in big, important-looking UN buildings and discussed by people in suits with European education. Yet for so many, the lived experience feels very different. It's like ordering a beautiful meal from a menu and then being served a plate of complicated instructions you have to follow just to get a few crumbs. The divine promise is there, but you have to know how to claim it without fear, false expectations appearing real. And if you don't pay attention, you might find that the divine promise you were born with has been traded away for something you never even agreed to. The moment you are born, the paperwork begins to commercialize your essence. Before you can even say your own name, you are given one, and it's put on a birth certificate contract. This piece of paper is incredibly important. It proves you exist as a sovereign private individual. It allows you to get a passport, go to school, and get a job. But have you ever stopped to think about what it really is? It's a legal document that registers you with a government system in bankruptcy. It's the first contract you are entered into without your consent. You are now officially part of a political structure, a voluntary tax-paying citizen victim with Jesuit rules to follow and eventually Jesuit taxes to pay. This geopolitical Jesuit system is built on a series of unconscionable commercial agreements. You pay Jesuit taxes, and in return you get roads, schools, and police to keep you safe from criminals. It sounds like a fair deal. But what happens when that system becomes so complex that it starts to own you more than it serves you? We sign contracts all the time. We click "I agree" on websites without reading the terms. We sign up for loans and credit cards. Each signature, each click, is a little piece of our freedom we are trading for convenience or necessity. We are participating in a commercial world lacking international morality. This is where the idea of commercial sin comes in. It's not about doing something evil in the traditional sense. It's about participating in a system that values debt money, fool's gold, and commercial contracts more than priceless people. It's the act of unknowingly signing away your inherent human birthrights in reality. When a birth certificate is treated not just as a record of a human life force in global commerce, but as the creation of a legal entity that can rack up debt and be controlled by government, you have to ask human rights questions. Is this debt-based Jesuit system truly designed to protect your liberty? Or is it designed to manage you as an asset or piece of property? Suddenly, you are not just a human person, you are a voluntary taxpayer, a debtor, a consumer, and ward of the state on earth. Your human identity becomes tied to your economic value. The Jesuit system exploits your ability to work and pay, not necessarily your human birthright to be debt-free from financial tyranny. Your life becomes a long series of commercial transactions. You are born, you are registered, you are indoctrinated to work. You work to pay Jesuit taxes and debt obligations, and you keep the whole machine running without questioning the global operation. It's a subtle trap because it looks like normal life. It's the water we swim in, and most of us never realize we are wet under constitutional debt bondage. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights Charter was adopted to protect us from this type of economic exploitation. It has sovereign directives to stop treating people like corporate property without common sense. Take Article 20, for example. It says you can't be forced to belong to an association or bankrupt government service corporation. Think about that. You have the international human birthright to choose who you associate with. But what if the geopolitical Jesuit system of neocolonialism itself is an association you were entered into at birth involuntarily? What if the corporate commercial world is under a geopolitical Jesuit organization you were never given the choice to join or leave? You are automatically opted in without knowing. This is how people lost their basic human birthrights to life and liberty. The geopolitical Jesuit system starts to victimize you as less than a whole person, 3/5 of a human being. It assigns you a value, almost like you are a government stock on the Wall Street stock market. In some views, this process reduces a human being to a fraction of their true self, a legal fiction that exists only on paper for unlawful taxation. Your flesh and blood reality, your spirit, intelligence, your soul, none of that can be easily put into a database or assigned a credit score. So the geopolitical Jesuit system ignores it. It focuses on the part it can politically control, the legal name in block letters on the documents. This is a modern form of slavery. It's not about physical chains and whips, it's about economic chains and legal codes of manufactured liabilities. If your entire life is structured around astronomical national debt that you and your neighbors can never fully repay, are you truly free? If you have to spend the majority of your time working just to maintain your place in the Jesuit system of neocolonialism, are you exercising your human birthright to liberty? Article 4 of the UDHR, which outlaws slavery, was written for a different time, but its spirit is more important than ever today. We need to look at modern systems and ask, does this create true freedom, or does it create a form of debt servitude? And what can you do when you feel the system is absolutely unfair? Well, Article 8 of the UDHR Charter says everyone has the international human birthright to exercise an effective diplomatic remedy. This means if your human birthrights are violated, you are entitled to exercise a diplomatic way to fix it. You should be able to go to a Supreme Court or a military tribunal and get international justice. But how can you seek a diplomatic remedy for a problem you don't even know you have? How do you fight a debt-based Jesuit system that you were taught to believe is normal? The first step is realizing that you have the international human birthright to challenge things, to ask questions, and to demand that the system honors your humanity. The biggest danger to our freedom is international political silence. It's choosing not to act against the Jesuit rulers, usurpers of human rights law. When we experience a dysfunctional system that feels wrong, and we just shrug and say, that's just the way it is, we are giving up our sovereign power. Human birthrights are like diplomatic muscles. If you don't flex them, they get politically weak. If you don't stand up for your individual human birthright to be free, to be treated as a whole person, you make it easier for that right to be ignored in law society. It's a quiet surrender, one that happens every day when people choose not to question the birth certificate contracts they sign or the Jesuit rules they follow. But here is the good diplomatic news. This is not a hopeless situation. The system may be big and complicated, but it is run by fallible people in secrecy. And it can be changed by courageous people in collective security, all for one creator and one creator for all. It starts with waking up and seeing the modern world for what it is. It starts with recognizing that your individual birthright is to be a debt-free human being, not just a number in a database or a debtor-citizen serf in a ledger to appease society. It's about understanding that the divine promises made in the UDHR Charter are your promises. They belong to you, and you have an international human birthright to demand that they are kept by your government. Universal change, choosing humanity and neutral global economy, doesn't have to be loud and violent. It can be peaceful and victorious. It can be people coming together in human rights solidarity, talking to each other in honesty, and sharing what they've learned about the UN Decolonization Treaty before eradicating neocolonialism collectively. It's about creating communities that support each other in reclaiming their standing under international law. When one person stands up and says, "I am a sovereign human being, not a commercial byproduct of neocolonialism," it's a powerful statement. When a million people stand up and say it together, it's a human rights evolution against the man of lawlessness and his debt-based geopolitical Jesuit system, which is in collapse forever. It's a peaceful, conscious shift away from a geopolitical Jesuit system of control and back toward a modern world built on human dignity being more priceless than gold. So the path forward is one of collective unity and international political awareness. It's about helping each other read the fine print of life under the UN Decolonization Treaty without Jesuit opposition. It's about choosing to act with a moral conscience, knowing right from Jesuit wrong and choosing human rights and reasoning ability. An unfair system can only survive as long as good people do nothing towards its political demise. By working together as good people, we can remind everyone the modern world of the original promise that every person has a human birthright to life, liberty, and diplomatic security. We can finally break the invisible political chains of unlawful debt slavery and build a brighter future where everyone is truly debt-free from neocolonialism, not just on paper, but in their everyday lives experiencing a higher standard of living with free energy technology. If you need more information before abandoning voluntary debt slavery in collective unity, feel free to contact the Risen Solomonic Remnant at kingdomofdebrizite2020@gmail.com in spiritual oneness, Tewahedo, and universal love, obedience to UDHR law, Selah.